Well, that's not. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Coin Drop Podcast, episode number 95. Joining me tonight with his head on the bottom of the possible frame after telling him multiple times to adjust his frame is Mike. Mike, how you doing? And now he's punching in. Super tight. Right there. Nope. In. Now down. Now down. Nope. No. There you go. Solid marks. Good start. Episode number 95. Mike is joining us tonight. Mike, how's your week been, man? What have you been up to?
You know.
I do know, but the audience, you do, but the audience doesn't know. So we're gonna just close that curtain that you just tore open, and give the audience some information, because I know what you've been doing. Yeah, what have you been doing?
So, well, I moved in with you. This week has just been like job hunting. Mm-hmm. That's kind of been it. I got a job starting with, I can never remember the name of the company, MDS, Medical Delivery Services, I think.
That sounds right. Yeah, it's MDS. Because I know the first time you sent it to me, I was like, oh, that's like MSDS, but it's not. So it's kind of, weirdly, it kind of is, but it isn't.
So I'm just going to be delivering radioactive chemotherapy drugs just kind of all over Washington. It'll be super fun.
Well, not all over Washington. All over
this part.
Yeah, the eastern.
The valley.
Yeah, the valley of the area. I mean, you know what I've been doing, but we'll talk about it. I finished Doom 2016. The ending was much more abrupt than I expected. I don't know what I expected, but the ending just kind of happens. The game just kind of ends.
Surprise game over.
Yeah, very much felt that way. It was just kind of like, yep, that's the end. I was like, oh, well, all right. I mean, like, you left it on a cliffhanger, but like in a guy walks away from you and teleports you away cliffhanger. So that's weird. I guess it's a spoiler for a game that's almost 10 years old. You're welcome. If you haven't,
I've seen the end.
I mean, for the audience, right?
Played it myself.
Yeah. So I'll play Doom Eternal at some point. Dark Ages, we're going to be talking about that on the Patreon side, as well as some news from a franchise that's been trying to make another game for a while now, and unfortunately are in the embracer of death, so they haven't been able to. And the game that they were working on was canceled by Embracer of Death. So we're going to talk about that. I'm going to be a little cagey about it on the Patreon. But before we get to that, before we get to the Patreon, I do want to remind you all, we are still doing our giveaway. You can still enter in the giveaway until the 19th. So if you're listening to this now, you've got literally until the end of the week. That's it. Once that happens, no more entries. And then we're doing our drawing. And winner will be notified. So
free game.
Yep. In addition to that, we have a couple new patron subscribers. Thank you guys for doing that. I want to clear some things up because one of them was confused about kind of how we do things on the Patreon side, how we mix it. So for those of you who are not paid members, I guess you're getting a little peel behind the curtain here. The way we do this for our Patreon side is we mix the entire audio into two files. We say we're going over to our Patreon side at the end of every episode, and then that audio, we have a gap there where Tim and I or Mike and I kind of discuss our topics, get ready for the Patreon side, and then cut that gap out, smash it together. So the patrons get one big, long, full episode. It's not like two separate versions where there's like on the Patreon side, you don't get just the Patreon content. You get the whole episode plus the Patreon content. So if you're a new subscriber over on Patreon and you're confused when you see like a super massive long episode over there and it sounds and starts the same as the free, it is until you get to the end of the episode where you get your Patreon content. The bonus you're getting by being on the Patreon side in that aspect is you're getting the whole episode a day early too. So you get it on Tuesday, whereas the free side that you're listening to as a ramp up to that extra content at the end, the public side doesn't get that until Wednesday, and they don't get that extra portion. I hope that makes sense. Easiest way to listen, if you use Spotify, you can link your Spotify to your Patreon, and I believe it automatically pulls that RSS feed into Spotify for you. I don't have that connected, so I don't personally know. If not, if you go to Patreon or if you go to Spotify and search our podcast, you will have to scroll further down, but you should see our old logo without the sound wave behind it, and that is the Patreon exclusive feed, basically, if that makes sense. If you have any questions, hit me up in Discord. I'll be more than happy to walk you through it, or on Facebook, however. But thank you to our patrons who support us and make this show a possibility. And welcome to all the new patrons. We're happy to have you here. Even if you're only here for the giveaway, we're happy to have you here. So patreon.com/CoinDropPod. It's $3 a month. Technically only $1 a month, but it doesn't get you anything at that tier. That's like our tip level, I guess. It's just like, I'll throw you $1 a month, whatever. But $3 a month gets you early access, and then tiers up from there, 5 and 7 give you extra content as you go up the charts, as well as until April 19th. The $3, the $5, and the $7 tier get you equal number of entries to dollar into our giveaway. So if you want 7 entries in our giveaway, throw us $7. You got it. So that's about all I've got there. Let's jump into the content. So something kind of big happened today, right, Mike?
It's very.
Yeah. We got some gameplay for a game that I think both of us are very excited for.
I give.
Yeah. Same. That's kind of my thought. Right. So,
okay, listeners, I'm putting my palm out and tapping it aggressively with my other finger.
Yes, I personally am. I take it as a personal offense that I was not invited to Bungie HQ for their content creator and media access early access thing. No, I don't. Yeah.
Actually, I don't even think Game Ranks themselves was. It was specifically just Jake.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. I'm not surprised. Right, like Game Ranks is pretty huge, but anyways.
Yeah, they've been at this.
The game we're talking about is Marathon. Bungie finally gave us some real gameplay footage, and it looks juicy.
Now give game.
Yes, now give game. Those of you who are maybe less anticipating this game than us will probably say it looks like just about every other shooter or extraction shooter out there, which is fair. I mean, you can only have so much variety in the first-person shooter genre. But I think what makes this game so exciting for me, and I think Mike, probably you too, it's the first AAA shooter, extraction shooter, like the first one. This is a AAA studio extraction shooter. So all the jank we're used to from like Tarkov or even the new Hawk Ops game, all the jank, all the loot box nonsensical systems probably won't be in this because it's AAA, right? So
hopefully, I mean, you know how I feel about the last AAA extraction shooter.
No, Mike, I don't think I do. Why don't you go ahead and say that on record for the 80th time?
Let's turn this 2-hour episode into 4 hours about how Ubisoft shouldn't have canceled Heartland, and then fucking get shot in the ass because they also canceled X-Defiant because their investors don't care enough. You canceled the wrong fucking game to begin with.
Thanks for coming to our TED Talk. Yeah, Mike is still pretty heated about that, and agreeably so. I mean, behind closed doors, he showed me some footage of it, and it was shaping up to be a very good extraction shooter. So disappointing.
It was ready to go.
Yeah, it was ready to ship in its current format. So this one, we have a little bit of hero shooter aspect in it, which is to be expected from Bungie, right? Like they've kind of nailed the archetype, the fantasy idea of like you have certain abilities and this and that, but they're putting it a little bit of a twist. So there's 4 archetypes in the alpha that is launching on April 23rd. You'll be able to play as Locust, which is kind of your soldier tank guy. He has a shield he can put up. Well, kind of. We'll get into that, but generally, he has a shield you can put up, which is like a ballistic shield, right? You got Blackbird, who does like a lot of recon stuff. She's really good at like pinging where enemy troops are. She's kind of like your point person, letting you know where other people are at, so you can maybe flank them or catch them if they're out of position, that kind of thing. Glitch, who seems to be like combat control. Glitch seems to have some like abilities to like scramble and really F up, maybe like, I don't know. I don't know that they show Glitch using any like stun grenades or anything like that, but I feel like they showed off some abilities. There was
scenes where she threw something down that like scrambled everybody's senses, and then she just like
tore him the fuck up
real quick.
Yeah. Yeah. Then you've got Void, who is your stealth, right? Like you can actually like throw you can literally be Batman as Void, which is kind of cool. He has an ability where he throws a smoke bomb down, and when you land in that smoke bomb or throw it down around you, you immediately go active camo, which is like just straight up the best I'm Batman moment there is. So yeah, we've got those 4, and there's 2 we don't know about, which we won't know about until the game drops, and they gave us a release date of September 23rd of this year. This game's coming soon, guys, real soon. So, Mike, why don't we talk about like initial thoughts? What did you think of the content?
I'm ready. Like I said, hand out, game in hand. Come on. I think I'm probably gonna main stealth build the majority of it, because my biggest worry is like, it's an extraction shooter. Extraction shooters have this format where they always punish the solo players, but they did mention in one of the gameplay review, in one of the 3 trailers I watched, that there is a solo queue option.
Yeah, you can do.
I hope that just puts me up against other solo players, but also if not, then again that wouldn't be a bad option, a bad time to use your active cloak or whatever the power up is called.
Yeah.
Like if you were me playing it, I'm running around as Glitch like the entire time.
Yeah. Well, what's interesting too is they dropped a little bit. It was in the actual live stream, so I don't know if there's anywhere in their footage that's available now other than that where they said it, but they seem to suggest that those archetype abilities, I put in air quotes, aren't locked to their archetype. They actually said at one point that if you wanted to play as Locust and use active camo, you'd be able to do that. So it's a matter of like getting the right mods, which is really kind of wild.
So now, does that mean like in Vampire, the Masquerade Battle Royale?
Yeah. Blood Hunt.
Blood Hunt, yeah. So there's your archetype clearly already has like base powers. But you can also find the mods for other archetypes just in the world.
Yeah, like the sneaky snake boots.
Yeah. So I'm wondering if that's what they're referring to?
It sounds like it's going to be more of a build option rather than just... Well, I mean, obviously, it's an extraction shooter, so ultimately you do have to find that, or maybe potentially you can buy it once you get to a certain point, but it sounds like it's going to be something that's a loadout more than just like an item, right? I imagine you can't have all of them at the same time, right? Like, you're not going to be running around with Locust, Shield...
All the Infinity Stones, man, come on.
We're not running around as Thanos over here. Yeah, no. No, but it made me raise an eyebrow because I was like, okay. You know, like it's not as straightforward as just like, you know, your archetypes from Destiny where you've got the Titan, you've got the Hunter, you've got this, like it's more than that because you can seemingly maybe go a little bit outside of their archetype, which like made me think like, a void tank would be kind of fun. be stealth and then come up behind somebody with an LMG and just tear them to shit.
Yeah. Suddenly you're Swiss cheese. I kind of wonder if it's set up like there's passive and then also active.
Yeah. They didn't show a lot. Yeah.
For Glitch, I imagine would be just for speed, right?
Well,
so like mixing that with Cloak would be fucking awesome.
Yeah.
It'll get nerfed. Like, and the first major patch, it'll probably get nerfed if that ends up being a thing. But for that time being, that window, we can run around and make people rage bait out. That would be awesome.
They did say that there is some definite imbalance right now. They did own that there's some stuff that definitely needs balance. But that's what alpha's for, right? Like that's why you run an alpha, a beta, you get your player feedback, that kind of stuff, find out what's broken, what needs fixing. It looks really cool. It seems like they're going away from... They did address the idea of, extraction shooters are usually considered hardcore, right? Like you've got people that play FPSs and then you've got people that play Tarkov, right? Like that's two vastly different versions of player. One is significantly more of a masochist than the other. Only slightly less than that would be like PUBG players like myself. But they said that they wanted to address that by like really, I don't want to say creating a good tutorial, but like really letting the players ramp up and get comfortable with the game mechanics and things like that. So I don't know if that means just like a longer drawn out tutorial. Like I think it was the Hunt Showdown. Didn't they make it so like you wouldn't lose loot until you got to a certain level?
Things like level 10. I actually still have to get back into that game. I started playing the like intro areas and then just didn't anymore.
Yeah. So like they're trying to approach it in a way that's fair. I don't know if that's the right word to use there, but it's the best one that comes to mind.
I would say like is in a way that builds you into it, not necessarily that it's fair. Because like you're still up against like someone could be better than you, regardless. Of if you're both the same level, their skill set like can just be better. So I think if they do it like Hunt Showdown did, where like up until level 10 or like level 15, you get to retain your stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I can see that being a good way to, quote unquote, handhold.
Yeah.
But not necessarily handhold either, if that makes sense.
Right.
It's more so just until you can get the idea of like what the hell you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, it's going to be... I'm excited for it. It's 3-man squads, so they're kind of following their fire team style from Destiny 2, which is cool. I like the 3-man idea. It's not the first game that I've seen doing this. Obviously, Destiny I think was actually one of the first ones I saw that did like 3-man crews. So that's unique. But they also said that it's going to be up to 18 players plus AI in one match. And the AI apparently is nothing to scoff at. Like they're actually kind of tanky and some of them can be pretty mean. There was one they asked one of the devs about that can like cloak himself and then make copies. So you don't know which one to shoot at. And then by the time you figure out which one to shoot at, he's already flanked behind you and he's fucking you up. So the AI is not to be taken lightly is kind of what they were getting at.
About to alt F4, like
hacks, fucking hacks.
My computer is right next to me, at the back facing me. I'm just gonna grab the cable from the power supply and just yank it.
Yeah. The only map they've shown us so far is Dire Marsh, which looks really cool. It's got a really good blend of like open terrain, some water, trees. You've got some hardened buildings. They've talked about tunnels that run under the map. It sounds like it's got a really good mix of terrain to really play with. So that's very cool.
Yeah.
Solo players.
I'm honestly just looking forward to seeing the verticality aspect of it.
Yeah.
Because like I've been trying to get back into the finals because I played one of their closed tests and I really liked the verticality of it. Like it reminded me of old school Battlefield, and we talk about it all the time. But like being able to just be on the 4th floor of some skyscraper, and then all of a sudden some dude just like runs through the 1st floor and takes down all of the supporting structure there, and all of a sudden the whole building is falling with you in like the top floor. Like that is such a rush to just have to deal with that, and then also like try to traverse the other enemy at the same time.
Yeah.
So the verticality aspect, I think, for a game like this, needs to be a thing. Because even Tarkov doesn't have a lot of verticality. It's like the 2nd or 3rd floor of like a worn down building, and that's it.
Gotcha. Yeah, as you speak about verticality, I was thinking like what would be really cool is like a cyberpunk style like mega block where the whole map is just like one mega block from like Cyberpunk, where it's just like 7 floors of like living space and then one giant kill area courtyard kind of thing. Like that would be really cool, where you've got some verticality to it, and something along those lines. Or maybe like a tower where the whole map is an internal map. It's all inside and it's just hallways and corridors and multiple routes to flank around people. That could be really cool too. I mean, we have no idea what they're going to do with the maps. So the only one they've shown us is this one, and we got just a glimpse of it. So there's a ton of content here, a ton of potential. It looks really solid. And that honestly, the gunplay looks just oiled smooth, just clean. So that's really cool. It does sound like if you're solo, though, you can do a drop squad, kind of like PUBG does, where you can just roll solo, or you can roll with randoms. So it doesn't sound like they're going to have a solo, at least maybe not at launch. So I don't know. I think a 1v18 kind of like not battle royale, but extraction battle royale could be kind of a cool mode if they added that in the future, where it's like you can only play it solo. That could be kind of fun, but that's all speculation. They did confirm that they will have seasons, which highly likely means that we'll see a battle pass of some sort, which wouldn't be outside the norm considering, what Bungie's done with Destiny 2. They have, seasonal battle pass kind of stuff in that as well. So it doesn't seem outside the realm to think that they might do the same thing here or something similar.
If they do this, because I'm sure they're probably going to add like some form of like lore, like as they release the battle passes or whatever.
Yeah.
If you structure the game to follow some sort of story blueprint, please do not abandon it.
Yeah.
If someone has to take time to do life things. Because I stopped playing Destiny 2 because I was way far back in the original story, about to finish it, like coming up to the final boss. I went back to Destiny 2 like sometime during COVID lockdown, and all of a sudden I was jumped forward through the story. So I didn't even get to do what I wanted to fucking do. And I don't play the game now because of that.
I think, ultimately I think that was a bad decision. I'm still not 100% sure why they chose to do it the way they did. My understanding is that Destiny 2 got too big. There was too much content, and in order for the game to run smoothly, some of it had to be shelved. That's my understanding. I don't know how true that is, but that's what if I remember correctly, that's kind of why they said what they said. That doesn't make the taste any better in your mouth, though, right? Like, it still sucks. No. I don't see that happening here because this game isn't the size of Destiny, and I don't think it ever will be, right? Like, it's an extraction shooter. You've got the maps you play on and then a storefront, and then you go play more maps, right? So like, ultimately the world size isn't that large, seemingly anyways. They did say they're going to have lore. They did say there was going to be a story to it. So my question is, how front and center is that story going to be? Because there's going to be missions and things like that, because they've continuously stated like, you're going to uncover what happened here, and like they continue to mention it in a lot of their CGI cutscenes, like, oh, what happened to the people that used to live here, how did this happen, like what's going on, what's the story? So I'm curious to see how front and center that's going to be. They did say that the narrative was going to play out over the seasons, so hopefully that means you'll be able to experience it regardless of what season you're in. But
something I noticed in the cinematic trailer as well, there was a serious focus on these little chips that they pick up and put behind their ears.
Yeah, there was. I'm
wondering if that, because it played music, and there's this, I forget what the quote is, but it's like, if art is how we decorate our like walls, like our house, then music is how we decorate time.
Oh, that's a cool quote. I like that.
I wonder if they're like leaning into that a little bit, and like when you pick up these chips, there's a memory on the chip itself, but it's linked to a song as well. That'd be neat. That'd be, my words stopped wording. That could be neat.
Yes.
That could be neat.
I think you were trying to say unique and neat at the same time.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. You just word jumbled us all. Yeah, that's a really cool idea and a really cool thought. I didn't really think too much of it other than like, these people really like the music. That's kind of where my brain went with it. Yeah. So,
but it makes sense to me, because like the people that were people, because they're synths, right? They're synths that have a past where they like.
Yeah, and they don't recognize themselves, right? Like, there was this whole thing about, like, it was almost like a Big Brother moment where they're in a chair with a robot kind of like talking to them, and they're like, do you recognize this child? And they're like, I don't know, it doesn't look any familiar to me.
And then it was like, that was you.
Yeah.
As like a kid.
Yeah.
But then they recognized their mother, which was like
also
weird.
Yeah, very interesting. So,
but like, I think the music that they're hearing when they pick it up might have to do with like their memories.
Yeah.
Potentially,
it's possible. I do love. I want to talk about the art style a little bit. I love the like pixel skull that pops up when you kill things.
Yes,
I fucking love that. That is such a cool like Space Invaders-esque kill confirm. I love it. It's so cool. What do you think of the colors, dude? Like the way everything is very almost two-dimensional in its color scheme. Like, it's very just
weird.
This color. Yeah,
because it's like, if you look really close, and like I I have a certification for like commercial arts, so I'm noticing they're like mashing like gloomy colors and like implying like the whatever happened was like sad, and then just all of these like neon pop colors on top of it, and you're just like, my brain was like going fucking wild. Like you can't do this.
Yeah, pink, like bright neon pink gloves, and there's just like all this rust and shit.
Like gray and gloom. Like it was weird. Like it was wild, and it caught my attention, and I like it, and I hope that like a lot of the maps kind of follow suit.
Yeah,
like, not to the point that they all end up kind of mashing together and looking the same, but like having a lot of like neon color in a map that's just like a fucking desert would be awesome.
Yeah. Give me the Destiny 2 hard light, like laser shooting gun that just like tracers through the air, make the desert map like a night map, and it's just a rave party in the desert. It's fine. I'm a big fan of the use of color here. It reminds me of 3D printing, right? Like it gives everything that artificial feel of like it was just like synthetically produced to fill a purpose, and it like down to the guns and the characters and the environment, like everything has that very like, yep, this was built on an Ender 3 Pro like kind of feel. Like I love it. I do. I think it's really cool.
Plot twist, this whole planet is 3D printed.
I mean, hey, we don't know.
Speculation, you know.
Yeah, they did say there's going to be dynamic events, there's going to be varying weather, so no two plays on the map I guess are going to be exactly the same, right? Like you'll spawn in different spots, your extraction might be in different spots. I'm wondering how varied that's going to be, if there's going to be like different objects in the terrain, because I think at one point they said they were trying to push, and this could be marketing because it usually is, they're trying to do things that you haven't seen in a shooter before. And one thing we don't usually see in like multiplayer map-based shooters is we don't see scenery move, right? So like, what if they did something to where like, well, you know, this barrier's here this round, but now that barrier is over there, right? Like, give it some variation in that aspect. I think that could be kind of cool. I haven't watched this footage enough to see if it's changed or if they're just in different parts of the map. It seems like the map is pretty big, so it's hard to tell.
Yeah, I mean, I could see structures changing and moving around.
Yeah.
Especially because it seemed like some of the stuff we saw, the structures were still kind of active.
Yeah.
In one sense or another.
Yeah. There's lore here for sure. I just hope there's more than just lore, and there's some actual like story to go with it too. Like I love cutscenes. I love getting like a little bit more depth, I guess, to my games, and just like, oh yeah, this is what's going on. Read this codex. Fuck you. Like, no. One of my biggest,
pick up this note and read the entire thing.
One of my biggest gripes that it is weird. It was a gripe, but I also loved it. Was Destiny, when you would find ghosts like throughout the world, you would get like the grimoire pages, but you had to have the companion app to actually read those. Like I loved it and hated it. It was a weird, it was cool, but it was also awful. Like I don't know how to put it. It was a really cool idea, but I also kind of hated it. I don't know. That's how I felt about it. I'm stoked for it, man. I hope we get alpha access. Their Discord, for those of you who do want alpha access, you need to join their Discord. You'll probably have better luck now. When their Discord went live, they went from 0 people on the server to over 100,000 people on the Discord server in about the span of 2 minutes. So it was flooded and slammed and insane. But you need to join their Discord server. And then you'll go to, I believe it's Alpha Access, and just type /alpha. It'll send you a private message in that channel. You'll fill out a survey, link some accounts, all this kind of stuff. And that will get you in the pool of the other 100,000+ people who want to play what they have specifically said is going to be a, quote, small alpha. So may the odds ever be in your favor? Yeah, we'll see. I don't know. I don't.
Did they say how long the alpha test would be?
They did not. They just said the start date was April 23rd. I imagine actually they might have, but now I can't go look at it
is April 23rd a weekend?
Let's see.
No, it's smack dab middle of the week.
Yeah, that's straight up Wednesday. I think it's going to run. If I'm not mistaken, it might have said the end date was sometime in May. I could be wrong. But if you go into their Discord and go to news, you should be able to find that information there. I'm just glad we finally have footage. Honestly, this game, what I do love about this too is it doesn't look so graphically intensive that like you're going to have a hard time running this on a PC, right?
Yeah, I could probably run this on my laptop.
Yeah.
My laptop's like, it's nothing to like scoff at, but it's nothing crazy either.
Like you've got a good amount of draw distance, but you also have a haze to cut down on like the load detail in the distance, right? You don't have crazy ray tracing and screen reflections everywhere that are just insanely over the top. Yeah. It looks relatively reasonable and still looks really fucking good. So they struck a really good balance between realism here and like playability, right? So
I'm ready.
Yeah.
Give game.
Yeah. Give game for sure. I need a new shooter. We will be playing Exfil later on this month, just so you guys know. It's a new shooter from an indie dev, the guy who actually worked on Squad, kind of ran that whole project and built Squad, made a new game called Exfil. We're going to be playing it on the 25th with the dev. Iron Taxi's a great guy. We interviewed him at the end of last year, talked about Exfil, and they've made a lot of changes to the game since then and have plans to make tons more. So if you're interested in other extraction shooters, make sure you tune in on the 25th of this month when we live stream that with the devs. It's going to be a good time. They might even be doing a free weekend that weekend. I don't know. There was some talks we had about pairing those. I don't know if that's actually going through or not. I haven't confirmed that with them. But either way, the 25th.
They do have a lot of free weekends in general, so it might just time itself out that way.
Yeah, I think we initially discussed it, so I think that's the plan, but I haven't confirmed it. But yeah, so might be free that weekend. We will be playing it the 25th, 8 p.m. That's when we do our community events, and we'd love to hang out with you guys and shoot some shit. Mike, any final thoughts on Marathon before we move on to our next topic?
Give game.
Yep. All right. Speaking of fuck, my cameras are fucked up. Wonderful.
What'd you do?
I didn't do. That's the problem. You're gonna have to do a bit of editing here.
That's my job.
Yep. That's all right. They're fixed now.
Cool. So that was about the 31-minute mark for me.
Well, now they're fixed.
I don't believe you.
They are. I promise you. Now they're fixed. Speaking of give game, we have an update on the crew lawsuit. Tim and I talked about this, last year, I think is when this went through in 2024. This brought up the Crew was a online only racing game published by Ubisoft in 2014, if I remember correctly.
Arguably the better Crew of the three.
Is it really?
Story wise.
Okay. All right.
Because the new games are kind of just like horror history, and like the first game was like a legit like you're an outlaw on the run trying to clear your name type.
Oh shit, I didn't know that. That makes me sad that I didn't get to play it now. That explains why so many people are pushing against it, because I had a question about that. I'm like, why this 2014? Okay, so bringing this back around now with that perspective, the Crew came out in 2014. It was shut down in 2024, and a bunch of people were pissed off about it. Apparently, because like Mike said, it was arguably the best of the three that have come out. And actually had a storyline and things of that nature. So the problem is it was online only, but inherently the game is single player. So why does it have to be online at all? It's beyond me. Jesus.
Quote unquote single player.
Right.
Because like you could do the missions co-op, but everything else was kind of just... I mean, you could drive around with people.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So it was co-op the way Fable 2 was, in that there's other people in the world, but you don't necessarily interact with them.
Correct.
Got it. Okay. So it got shut down, and a lot of people were mad about it, reasonably so, and filed a lawsuit against Ubisoft, who they've gone back and forth now. And here's the thing, guys. This lawsuit is important even if you aren't interested in this game. Because initially I was just like, why? Okay, right? But here's the thing. We're about to make case law And this case law that's going to be made is regarding ownership of both digital and physical media. So the outcome of this case is actually really important for everyone who enjoys any kind of media ownership. Ubisoft has been adamant, and they're not the only ones who have said this. It's kind of a known thing that you don't ever own your media. You own the rights to play it, and you don't even really own that. You lease the rights to play it, right? And the company can revoke those rights at any time. Well, for a long time, people thought if you bought the game physically, you owned the game. And those who bought this game physically still can't play it because the servers are offline, and there is no offline option. So the lawsuit boils down to people basically saying false advertisement by Ubisoft saying there's no case because, we already said you only this or that, and it's beyond the statute of limitations because the game is dead now, and we made it clear that the game would be dead at some point. Well, there was a rebuttal to this from the plaintiffs, one being that they sent literally the judge images of the cover of the game that basically more or less said...
Not even images, they just sent them the fucking game.
Did they send them the game? Okay.
They sent them the whole fucking case.
They sent them the case, and on
the game case.
Yeah, on the game case, it specifically says, this isn't a direct quote how they worded it, but it basically says that this game, you lease this game until 2099. Like, you have ownership to play this game until 2099. Well, I mean, simple math says 2024 is not equal to 2099.
Those numbers are smaller.
Yes. Yes. Thank you. Go back to eating your paste. I'm just kidding. Mike, you're like on the bottom of the screen on your camera again, dude. You're like way the fuck down here. You're just...
Make a snag.
Yeah, you sure are.
I think this chair is also just like...
sinking. It probably is. It's an old chair. There you go. Yep. There you go. So they sent the judge, the case. It suggests that this game is going to be, by stating this, their argument is that by this, they're stating that the game will be playable until 2099, and that by turning off the servers to the game and making the game inaccessible, they have broken that trust and basically are claiming it false advertisement. Well, they're taking it a step further now and also saying that per the legal understanding of gift certificates in California, that the in-game currency, this one's wild. This is actually what made me want to talk about this. They're saying that the in-game currency meets all the legal requirements to be gift cards per the state of California. And in the state of California, gift cards are not legally allowed to have expiration dates. And that by closing down the servers, they have given an expiration date to what legally qualifies as a gift card. It's a wild loophole to catch them on, but that seems like what might catch Ubisoft up on this. Now, realistically, what's their response going to be to this? Okay, we'll go through and see, what accounts have money, gift certificates, air quotes, on their accounts, and we'll refund that to the players. That might be what they try and come back with, right? That
California would totally accept that too.
Right, and they would. They'd be like, yeah, that's fine.
But the biggest thing is that by purchasing the disc, in fact, I'm pretty sure even at one point the digital edition of the game actually even specifies in the terms of service for the game that by purchasing the license, you have access to the game until 2099 or whatever.
Yeah.
Which, that in itself is blatantly just false advertising.
Yeah.
Granted, they can change the TOS for anything at any point, which is kind of where things will kind of get shifty with that.
And that's where we've gotten, right? Like, that's the back and forth here. Is Ubisoft, rightfully so, says we can change this. It's within our legal right, this, that, and the other. But they changed it, and they didn't change the packaging for the game they were selling. You know what I mean? So, like, they just decided it, and so they didn't do a recall and then reprint the game with the new, this is when we're closing. They just left those copies out there. So if you weren't informed, which I don't know how that plays in legally, if like you have a legal obligation to be informed on the product you're buying, or if they have a legal obligation to inform you the status of the product you're buying, right? And I think it's more the other one, because they're responsible for how they market the game. And if you're going to say like, oh, we're going to put out a press release and say this game's dying in 2022 or 2024, but our packaging still says you can play it until 2099, that is absolutely, in my opinion, within the realm of false advertising. So
the only thing I can think of is if on the packaging it says that they have the rights at any point to change the agreement, because when you put the disc in your console, another terms of service agreement would pop up and say like whatever they change it to say at that point.
Right. So basically, to sum this all up, basically the plaintiffs are arguing that they've broken now 9 counts. They're pushing 9 counts of charges against Ubisoft at this point, and they've added these addendums to the complaint, and they've asked the court to certify the case, certify as a class action lawsuit, and Ubisoft has until the 29th to respond once again. Otherwise, I have no idea, because I don't understand law that well.
I can see this just based on the current status of like the legality with digital rights and things like that.
Yeah.
I can see this going on in at least another 2 years before we get anywhere near a fucking agreement. And the shitty thing about it is, during that time, even just like recently, Steam changed their terms of service to make it more friendly, I guess, friendly to the reader, to the consumer, being you or I.
Sure.
To understand that when you purchase a game from Steam, you are buying a license and it's not permanent.
Right. It's also it's also non-transferable, and I think as well, yeah.
And that's to cover them of like if your account gets banned for the most part, but that also covers like if someone decides to pull the game or the servers or like whatever,
right,
then you're SOL. But the other thing is, now companies like Amazon and I want to say Netflix, but you can't really buy movies on Netflix,
right?
So like Amazon is the only one coming to mind right now, but
Google
you
Play,
can buy movies.
You can buy movie on Google.
Even on Google Play. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can buy movies. You can rent them, but you can also just buy them outright.
Yeah.
And this is going to translate, depending how this plays out, to that form of media as well. It's not just the gaming industry.
Yeah. This is going to affect digital and physical media as a whole.
Yeah. At any point, Warner Brothers Studios or Universal Studios could decide that this movie that you have in your collection that is your favorite fucking movie they don't feel like hosting it anymore. And they will delete it, because guess what? They have the original recording. They have all the tapes. They can do whatever the fuck they want.
Yeah. And while we would like to think that companies wouldn't do that, obviously they would. Ubisoft's a great example. And I totally understand. I understand Ubisoft's side of it. They don't want to pay to host the servers for a game that is over a decade old, that has a drastically reducing player count year over year. I get it. But at the same time, licensing for music, for the cars, all of that. I get it. But at the same time, you released a product. You said you would support this product until 2099. You now have an obligation to find a way to make this an offline game. You just do.
Yeah.
So
it would have been, you could say it would have been just as easy to take, because the Crew 2 is the same fucking map as the Crew 1 is, the US. Yes. I mean, it's dumbed it down, and there's smaller gaps in between each major place. But because it's literally copy and paste, you could argue that it would have been just as easy to take all of this stuff from the Crew 2 and just put it in the Crew 1 as add-on DLC.
You mean from the Crew 1 to Crew 2?
No, instead of making a sequel game, just releasing it into the Crew 1 slowly over the course of time as DLC.
Okay, treat it like
like Grand Theft Auto does. Okay. And then made Motorfest the actual full-blown next game.
Yeah.
Because Motorfest has already received a major update. They've added a whole new fucking island of Hawaii to the game.
Nice.
So like it just makes me think of like this probably would have made more sense financially.
Well, it also like I don't know enough about programming. I'll admit that, but it cannot be that hard to push a inherently single player game that's online to be a single player game offline. Like it can't be that hard, can it? I don't know, but it's
if just Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League can do it, fucking anybody can do it.
I mean, it could be. I hate to say it, but it could be literally one of those things where it's like, well, if we pushed it offline, everything would turn into fucking telemetry. Like the way they just hard coded the game, it has to be like, who knows?
Yeah, it
right?
could all be like just ran server end, and you're literally just connecting and.
It could be like, the game just doesn't exist on the client side. Like you just fall through the fucking map forever. Or who knows, right? So yeah. I say that, but at the same time, like you don't get to. It's such a weird situation because there's both sides have valid points.
Now that I'm thinking about it, they can do that because here's the thing. And for context, I was looking this up the other day because, way back in the day when I was still in high school. God, I'm old. When I was still in high school.
Shut up.
EA, remember Black Box when Black Box was a thing?
Black Box.
Black Box made Need for Speed Most Wanted 2012.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah, sure. Yeah.
So EA decided after, I think it was after Carbon, they wanted to get a jump start into bringing the whole arcade racer idea into the MMO world. So they made Need for Speed World, and it was a full-fledged Need for Speed MMO. The game, I think it was live for like almost 10 years, and then the player count just kind of fiddled away over time.
Sure.
So they brought the game down. There are multiple modders that now run the game offline, like it's on their own server hosting or whatever. Yeah. But for the most part, it was literally just like we took all the source files and just redid it. So I was looking up if there is a way that may be possible with the crew, and I actually came across a posting. I'm not going to talk about them specifically naming it because copyright laws and all that shit.
Right. Apparently
this is being worked on. There is already a group of modders that are taking the source code of the game and trying to rebuild it for offline hosting, quote unquote.
Yeah.
It would be hosted on their servers and other people would just be able to connect to it. You would just have to own the game, quote unquote. So like,
yeah, it would have to basically take whatever their DRM is, register that DRM is there, and then connect you to the server.
Yeah.
Got it. That's cool because we have seen that with other games, right? There's private servers for like EverQuest, right? Mm-hmm. For Ragnarok Online. Tons of MMOs have done private servers. It's not an uncommon thing, but those are actual MMOs, and this is like a single player MMO that has some community interaction, which I don't really get. But now I actually do want to play this game. Like I want to know more about the crew.
Yeah.
So I'm a little annoyed that I skipped it when it came out because I have been wanting like I've said, dude, Midnight Club LA has been my favorite racing game forever. So, I mean, this sounds like it's very much similar to that, and now I'm disappointed that I skipped it.
Midnight Club LA is on Xbox Game Pass for Xbox backwards compatibility, and it's the only reason that I continue to buy an Xbox. Every time I've bought an Xbox One, it was literally just to play Skate 3 and Midnight Club LA.
Nice. Midnight Club LA is still one of the best like arcade racing games. I'll fight to the death on that. Like that was a fantastic arcade racing game. Forza Horizon I hear is fantastic. I haven't played those yet, but I intend to soon, hopefully. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean it's
when you finish all the Assassin's Creed games.
Yeah. I have been replaying those. I'm putting that franchise to bed. It's speaking of that, dude. It's been nice revisiting those games. Assassin's Creed 2, I started yesterday, and it has graphically aged a little bit better than Milk, but not by much.
Mozzarella cheese.
Yeah, I would say it's like it's a blue cheese. It's an acquired taste, right? Like it's got mold in it, but it's supposed to have mold in it, right? I'm not a fan of blue cheese. I'm just using that as the metaphor here. So I mean, but the gameplay is still good. Like the controls still feel mostly tight. Parkour is a little finicky here and there, as it is only the second time any game has ever done anything like that. But it's still a good story and enjoyable, and just the combat feels really nice. Like it's still a good game. Still a good game. Yeah. So we'll see how Brotherhood and Revelations and 3 and Freedom Cry and 4 and Liberation and Syndicate and Unity and then Mirage hold up, because that's the goal. Obviously not in that order, because I think I got a couple of them out of order there, but I'm going to play through them all, and I'm going to put my favorite franchise of my entire fucking life, I'm going to put it to bed. So
I believe in you, Russ.
Yeah, it's going to be a journey. It's going to be an emotional ass journey. I want you all to understand. I got a tattoo on this arm that is 8 hours of straight pain. That is the Assassin's Creed symbol around my Scottish clan crest, because I'm Scottish, and those were two things that were of equal importance to who I was at that time. That's the level of love I had for this franchise. So,
come on, slide it up. Let's see.
All right. There you go.
The boss.
So, Yeah, all the way up to there. So, yeah, it was a sizable tattoo and a very long time to be in a tattoo chair. But yeah,
I cried the whole time.
Only towards the end. No, it did get to a point where like the tattoo artist was trying to distract me with questions, because like I was just numb with pain to the point where I couldn't think. And like it got to the point where he's like, he asked me some like basic ass bitch riddle, and I was like, dude, what? I just could not comprehend from just like 8 hours of straight tattooing. It got to a point where like it didn't hurt, it was just vibrating my whole body, and like I felt like my whole body was just vibrating off a frequency than it should be on. It was very weird.
I am TV static.
Yes, I felt like the old CRT TV statics. But back to the crew in this lawsuit. Like I said, guys, this is important beyond just this game. It's going to set case law, which is going to have ramifications, good or bad or other, for all forms of owning any media, whether that's movies, video games, music, digital comics. Like anything you own digitally, you don't really own. Unless you've got like a hard copy, it's offline kind of thing. Like if you're, a pirate and you have pirated music and you've got that on a hard drive somewhere that maybe you've forgotten where it's at and you kind of miss it because you'd like to listen to that music again.
Call me out.
I was calling myself out. Then you don't like, if you just use Spotify or something like that, or Pandora, the people who actually own that music can just be like, you don't listen to that anymore. It's ours. We're done.
And that's the other thing about it. And like, I'm gonna preface this with, I'm not supporting you. I'm not telling you to go and pirate things.
Yeah,
and support
definitely
piracy
not
in a professional setting.
Nice caveat.
The whole sell of like digital media, whether it was music, movies, books, it was all about the convenience. Mm-hmm. It was very easy to just go sit on a couch, boot up Netflix, and fucking start watching The Punisher.
Yeah.
It is now, from my own experience, more convenient to pirate all of their content and their games and music than it is to get it by an official means. So you're asking everybody to pay these exorbitant rates that you keep price hiking every 6 months.
Nintendo.
And then also now you're bringing into question of whether or not these people even own the fucking music that, like, I have hundreds of thousands
iTunes is a good
on my Apple Music that I stream often.
Yep.
At any point, Apple could just decide that they don't want it anymore.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, facts.
It's just fucking mind-blowing when you put it into perspective like that.
And this case is going to determine how those things go. So it's...
Granted, Apple Music is a huge fucking
yeah,
part of Apple's like yearly budget. So like they're not just going to delete shit like that.
Yeah, you would like to believe that, right? Like that's the trust we put in those companies. That's why we buy the music from those companies or buy the product, is the trust there. For example, Audible. My wife buys tons of books on Audible for me because I fucking hate reading, but Audible is a great way for me to enjoy a book because I'm illiterate. Not really, but like I can't stand reading. I'm one of those guys that I will read a page and then go to the next page and be like, what the fuck did I just read? And go back. So like it doesn't work for me. So we buy a bunch of books through Audible, and the trust there is that Amazon will continue to support that service because it makes them money, and we will continue to have access to our audiobooks, right? So it's going to impact way more than just video games. And that's kind of why I wanted to talk about it, is this is like, it transcends media here. And it's going to be very interesting to see how it impacts life past this, at least in America, right? Like, doesn't necessarily mean this is going to apply to anybody in any other nation, but in America, this is going to be, it's groundbreaking. It's case setting. So that is just about everything we have for our main topics. We're going to hit some quickfire news real quick and then jet on over to our Patreon side. So let's talk about some upcoming stuff here for you guys. Valve Deckard, which if you guys haven't heard of this, is the long-rumored standalone VR headset from Valve, which I personally didn't realize it was going to be a standalone headset. I thought this was a successor. I guess technically it is, but I thought this was going to be a successor to their Index, which to my understanding is still one of the best high-end headsets you can get for PC.
The controllers are fucking awful. They last like 9 months.
Do they really?
Whatever sealant they're using on their controllers for like the parts where they clip together, they just wear down really quick.
Wow, that's a damn shame. Considering the amount of sweat I've poured into my MetaQuest 3 doing shadow boxing, let me tell you,
those headset on this side of the US, I swear.
This week alone, I put about 140 minutes into boxing in that headset, so it's sweaty. It's real wet.
I bet it smells great.
I mean, look, man, if anybody else wants to use it, I'll clean it first, but like, I'm the only motherfucker using it, so I don't give a shit.
It's so fucking gross.
I've got extra like face shields and everything, so like I can just pull it all off. You know, it's fine. It's whatever. Yeah. You know, my controller's a little off white, but it's okay. Anyways, the Valve Deckard, their standalone VR headset might be closer than we think. There's some leaked shipping manifests that suggests that Valve has been buying technology and equipment needed to manufacture VR faceplates and other VR components. So that could mean they're ramping up and getting ready to produce locally because of the new tariffs that our wonderful president, however you feel about him, one way or the other, has decided to impose. We'll see how that plays out for him, Cotton. In other news, Team Ninja apologizes for the shit-tastic port of Rise of Ronin to PC. No surprise there. It's a Sony game coming to PC. Of course, it was trash. So they're working hard.
50-50.
No, dude. It's like 80-20. It's 80-20.
I don't know. I mean, I haven't played Rise of Ronin, but like, actually, no, I can't talk shit because Last of Us Part 1 even kind of ran shit for me for the most part.
Yep. Last of Us 1 was a bad launch. From my
God of War ran perfectly.
God of War did run well. I'll give you that. Yeah. That's why it's 80-20. Horizon didn't run well. Horizon 2 didn't run well, from my understanding. Spider-Man did. The first remastered re-release. Spider-Man 2 did not. We'll see how Last of Us 2 does, but I don't think it's going to launch well. I don't think Days Gone did very well either when it came to PC, but I don't recall.
I think it did.
Did it?
Yeah, I think it had issues with AMD specifically.
Okay.
Which was weird because the fucking PlayStation console is
so
AMD.
I'll give them like 30-70. Either way, I wouldn't buy a Sony game without waiting a good month or so and checking reviews to see what people are saying about it on PC. Yeah. On PC. So that's a shame because I was actually really interested in Rise of the Ronin, so I guess I'll wait until next year to grab that one. Speaking of gaming on PC, 58% of gaming revenue on PC came from microtransactions last year.
Yeah.
Yeah. 58% of the revenue for gaming.
That was tested across, I think it was Call of Duty, Battlefield and Destiny, wasn't it?
I didn't look at the article too deeply, but that sounds correct. Yes.
Yeah.
Either way, like that's more than half of the cost of the games was spent on microtransactions. That's insane.
It's kind of a double-edged sword, though, because
yeah,
you want more games from these publishers, but
right. It's it's the early adapter problem, or early adopter problem, right? Like, for example, VR. That was what was so concerning for me about VR is like, if it doesn't have enough buy-in, it's gonna die. But if it's not good, it's gonna die because nobody's gonna buy in, and nobody's gonna buy in because the price is high. So it doesn't really matter if it's good. It's this weird balancing act, right? So
it's an Ouroboros.
Yep. Yeah, it absolutely is. So, it's one of those things where, like, I've gotten to a point in my life where, in fact, Viva La Dirt League had a video on it that kind of changed my perspective, especially being a dad and husband, and at the time working full time, but now going to school full time. They did a video about like expendable income, right? Like, it's the DLC microtransaction shit where like, one of them's giving the other grief about using microtransactions. And he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry. I grind away 40 hours a week at a job that like pays the bills, and like I just happen to have this weird perk called extra income, expendable income, and I only have a couple hours to enjoy video games. So if I only have a few hours and I don't have a ton of time, I want to enjoy those few hours. So why not give the developers an extra $15 with that sweet perk of so like completely? It's a really good bit. If you want to check it out, just look Viva. Fucking hell! Look up Viva La Dirt League microtransactions. I'm sure you'll find it. But it did kind of change my perspective of like, I really don't have a ton of time, and if it's not changing how the game's played and it's just cosmetic or makes me like the game a bit more, what's the fucking harm in it, right? So,
yep.
Speaking of Viva La Dirt League, I don't know why I'm having a hard time with that name tonight.
Viva Las Vegas.
That too. They're releasing their first ever video game called Nice Day for Fishing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Ain't it?
Yeah. It looks really, honestly looks really cool. It's a RPG fishing game, I guess, is the best way to explain it. It takes place in their like fictitious world that they make shorts in all the time. It's pixel art, side scroller, fishing RPG. It looks kind of cool. You should check it out. Comes out real soon. Comes out.
PC, man.
Yeah. It comes out May 20 something, I think. So very soon. Next up, Last of Us. Naughty Dog has decided to release a Last of Us Complete collection. And first of all, Complete, are they following Valve and just unable to count to 3? Are we not going to see a Last of Us 3? Secondly, who's this for? It's $100 and it's just a bundle of the 2 games. As far as I could tell, it didn't come with any new content or any extra stuff. It's just the remastered 1 and 2 collection for PS5.
Come with a hard copy or something?
Yeah, but as we discussed, like that, it doesn't matter. You don't own that. Who's it for though? Like $100 for these 2 games. I don't know who it's for. If it's for you, shoot me a DM. I'm curious because I don't.
Russ would like to ask you why.
Yeah.
Proceed to call you an idiot.
Well, it's a little harsh. You use your money how you want. I'll just say like I wouldn't spend my money on it, but you do you.
Yep.
Last but not least for tonight, Astrobot just continues to win. They won the recent BAFTA awards. They won another award there. I'm actually really hoping the game comes to PC at some point so that 6 months after it does, I can play it and see why it's so good, because we know it's going to port horribly to PC, or at least that's my expectation at this point. But yeah, that's our quickfire tonight. Mike, do you have any thoughts before we wrap up?
Tell your mom I said give game.
Tell Bungie I said give game. Have a great night. And for our Patreons, we'll see you over there.